Every business wants good customer reviews. Every customer wants a good experience. So what happens when both sides click? Or in some cases, when they don't? From Yelp and Entrepreneur Media, this is Behind the Review.
Behind the review, dig deeper too. Behind the review, get all the news. Food, flowers, fixing, make business boom. Behind the review, dig deeper too.
I'm Emily Washkovic, Yelp small business expert. Behind the Review features conversations with business owners and customers who wrote one of their Yelp reviews. In our discussions, we talk about lessons they've learned that can be used by other businesses to improve their own reviews and their bottom line. This week, we're doing things a little differently. I'm sitting down with Jonathan and Drew Scott. That's right, the Property Brothers. We talked about the new show they just launched and their entrepreneurial journey. Let's give our conversation a listen. So to kick us off, I'll have you guys introduce yourself, tell me your names, and take me back to the origin story of your entrepreneurial journey in real estate and in home development.
Well, we are the Property Brothers, Drew and Jonathan, and let us take you back to the beginning. All right.
Think of us, little entrepreneurs at the age of 7. We started our first business way before real estate. I mean, our parents were always taking us to look at properties because they were looking for a new family home, and we had a family ranch we moved on to. But in the beginning, our very first business, we started a hanger business. We made decorative hangers, weaved them with a nylon, a little rosette. We saw it at an arts and craft sale, and we thought we could do that. We started selling these, and within a matter of months, we started selling them by the thousands. We met a woman from Japan who had a chain of American paraphernalia stores, and we just started selling to her. So that was our first little jump into entrepreneurship.
We were always looking for something to generate some cash, whether it was when Mom would take us to the grocery store, we'd return all the carts so we could get the 25 cents out of each cart, or whatever it was. We were always looking for something to save up. Now, back then, our goal was to buy swords because we're Scottish, our heritage is Scottish, and we'd heard all these stories about knights and armor and all this stuff. That's all we want. Today, we invest in our company, we invest in our real estate portfolio, and our goal is really to make life better at home for everybody. And so whether it's the fund that we launched to invest in new technology, new services, new products that will innovate home, or whether it's the shows that we're developing, Don't Hate Your House, but the Property Brothers is kind of like a real raw look today at what people are experiencing, because anyone who's done a renovation knows it can be hopeless, it can be frustrating, and we're showing all of those moments.
So many people, they just hate their home because, some people are tricked into it as well, especially where we are in LA. LA is renowned for, you look at a home, it looks amazing, but it was just a quick flip home. Once you move into it, you realize the materials are terrible, it doesn't function for a family, it's not safe. And so we want to make sure that we let people know they don't have to move to find a home they love. They can transform what they have. And we showcase that with these dire cases.
I love that. And something that I think is so unique about that is it really speaks to a current day challenge, which is housing and just all of these maybe misconceptions people have about if they want something different, they have to move, as opposed to kind of fixing up what they have or reshuffling what they have. And I love that that's the concept of your new show. Before we get into that show, can you talk to me a little bit about getting into television? What was the stage you were at in your business journey, and how did becoming TV stars kind of fit into that?
Well, I had a different idea of how I wanted to become a TV star, because all I ever wanted was to be an actor and a director. Jonathan wanted to be a magician. So I was the one focused on TV. I wanted to be able to be an action star. We always joked I wanted to be Tom Cruise, but taller. We have a martial arts background. And it just, that in the early days, we started getting into real estate as a way to fund our creative endeavors, flipping houses. We grew up in a ranch and we were handy. And after 10 years of doing real estate, I missed acting. So I started to jump back into that. But the only auditions I was getting was as a real estate expert. And there was a show I booked. I was so excited to tell Jonathan about this new show. Finally, I booked something as a host. It was called Realtor Idol. It was basically American Idol for realtors.
Terrible idea.
Terrible. But the production company liked me, and then I pitched them what we were doing with clients at the time, Property Brothers, and it hit.
What I thought was interesting, though, with our real estate company, we came at it from a very different perspective because when we got into real estate, it was still a lot of the same thing where a lot of the real estate agents out there, they were kind of doing a half-ass job. They would just print out from the MLS a sheet with the information, put it on the counter. And we said, you really have to market your business, not only to stand out from the competition, but also to gain that trust of the consumer, because most people don't trust you, especially when it comes to real estate, before they have a chance to trust you. So we not only created really beautiful marketing materials, we had this 3-tier stand that we did that we would put on our listings, and it had cards on it that showed the distance to local schools, amenities, shopping. We even had like a little TV we built in, and this is like really early on the media side, where it would show a loop of all the beauty shots, just stuff like that to make it so that it was a little more than the average. In fact, we had a lot of people who, when their client would come to look at one of our listings, they would say to their realtor, well, you're selling my house, why don't you do this? And they would leave them and come to our brokerage.
Also staging the homes too. We had all of our own furniture for staging, and we wanted to make sure they were looking their best. If there were little things that had to be fixed, we would make sure they were fixed. It's just trying to always put your best foot forward. It's like a first date. If someone walks in and you have this house that's super dated, you're not putting the best first impression up. You want to make sure it looks good.
Yeah. Everything in life, I feel, comes down to marketing. Doesn't matter if it's your dating life, you're marketing yourself. Doesn't matter if it's your business, you're marketing your business. Everything comes down to marketing. Nobody is going to make you a success. You have to work on that yourself. And, we felt that was the best thing for us. We were always focused on long-term strategy, integrity. Once you lose the trust of the consumer, you cannot get it back.
Well, one
Very,
thing
very hard.
I will say though is we weren't always that way. When we were young, first trying to get into real estate, we were looking for that get rich quick, or we were trying to make some quick bucks. And we realized, after not too long a time frame, that we need to look at the long game. That's the smarter way. And when we started looking at what Property Brothers could be at this show, instead of just affecting people in this local market, and we see decent revenue from our business, but what if we were able to affect people across the country? And now here we are across the world. We're in 160 countries, and people will come, if we're visiting Italy, we don't even speak the same language, but people come running over. Fratelli Nefari, brothers in business, it's called out there. And you can tell we inspire them in a positive way in their home. And that means a lot to us.
I'd love to know how many of your listeners watch us as Hermanos a l'Obra or as Fratelli Nefari.
Yeah, there's a compilation out there somewhere that shows all the languages that we're dubbed into, but I do love it.
I think it's so cool. And there's something about your relatability that really has made you successful, I think. And from what I'm gathering, it's just authenticity. It's you being yourselves and being willing to connect with people on that deeper level. Maybe can you expand on that and just how you're able to really lean into who you are and the fact that you want to help and how that's made you so connectable to your people who follow?
Well, it's so interesting that you bring that up because, and I don't know if we've talked about this before, but way back in the day, so we were actors as kids and had done some television, local stuff, commercials, some national commercials. And we were like, we could produce a cool show. And we actually had put together some pitches for shows. One was like an eco-friendly makeover, different things like that. And I remember as we were going through this process, what do we want the show to be? How do we make sure that it's going to be something that's successful? We didn't really know what we were doing at the time, but Drew originally had the aspirations to be an actor. I had the aspirations to be a magician. We knew we had something on the television side. We were trying to, for these like demo reels and stuff we would put out, we were trying to be what we thought the audience wanted in a host, and we couldn't sell a show. It wasn't working. And, I remember that we still have it actually. It's a video where I walk in and I go, oh, hello. And I put my arm on the mantle and I'm like, this is an area I decorated. It was so awkward and so painful. And even on the very, very first episode of Property Brothers, the pitch, the initial pilot episode,
so awkward.
They kept asking us to do this stuff that just did not feel authentic.
Hi, I'm Drew. Welcome to this renovate. Oh yeah, it was
so
awful.
We said, can we just do an extra take where we just
be ourselves?
And let us be ourselves. And sure enough, that's what they ended up liking. The network liked it. We tried it, and it's true because people want to see somebody. Especially if it's on television, they want to see somebody they want to hang out with, someone they want to grab a beer with, talk with us. They don't want somebody who feels odd and like a mannequin.
Yeah, here's my hint to any entrepreneurs out there that are trying to grow their brand. Clients can tell when you're lying. If you're trying to pretend that you know everything, I see this with real estate agents all the time. I'll ask a question and I can tell they're lying through their teeth. They don't know the answer. You don't need to know everything. It's much better for you to just say honestly, you know what? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to do everything I can to find you the answer. And they will respect you a lot more for that. And that's going to help your business grow because you're building it based on integrity.
Absolutely. That's a huge point. And I think it's often overlooked. Like you said, you want to have the right answer, or you want to be on the dot. And it's really about being honest and really creating that trust, building that trust.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about your journey into merchandising, because that feels like its own entire funnel. It's like a huge avenue now of how people know your brand and see your brand. Who came up with that idea? How do you decide what items you want to merchandise? I mean, you have tons of partners. Like it's a huge
We
endeavor.
originally, so it was about just before the second year of Property Brothers, our show within 3 months went to #1. We were the top show on the network, and it was people really just related to this new style that we were bringing to this type of programming. And so Drew and I decided we think that we should get into the product business, and we proposed it at the time to the producer of Property Brothers, and I quote, they said to us, "We're in the TV production business, not the products business. We're not interested." And then Drew was like, "May I get that in writing?"
Yeah. So,
And
and they owned Property Brothers at that time. In the beginning, we didn't own the brand, but we ended up after that, we grew it to $100 million. And after we hit our first 100 million retail, they came back to us and said, we want half of that. And we're like, no, that's what we talked to you about, and you didn't want to do this. So we put all the effort in, and then we ended up acquiring Property Brothers and grew it to where it is. But it's sort of we've never been closed to finding an opportunity. And in the home space, there are so many categories, whether it's renovation, like materials for the home, or whether it's design materials. And I think the thing that was so important for us was we didn't want to overwhelm ourselves because we only have two of us, plus we're shooting the shows and everything else we do. We really leaned in on finding the right team that understood every aspect of the business and then brought those people in to work with us. And that's what's helped us grow.
we now have over 12,500 SKUs, and we're in every category you can imagine, from furniture to wall coverings, lighting, fixtures, everything. But even as you continue to grow, you have to evolve with what the consumer is demanding, what the audience is demanding, and anyone who doesn't inevitably is going to die out. You see it happen all the time. In fact, COVID early retired a lot of businesses that did not know how to adapt or scale. And so one thing that was interesting for us is seeing a new wave in how consumers were operating at retail stores. We had to find better ways to partner with retailers so they had a little more skin in the game and would give us priority placement for our products on their floors. We also had to look at how people were buying certain categories. So when we looked at our total offering pre-COVID, we had probably about 30% of our products that were not, they were actually losing money when we would calculate how much time it would take to develop the product and the process involved in designing. We were using them as filler categories, so we had a whole offering for a space, but we decided to focus on the stuff that was actually going to be profitable. So you have to constantly step back and see, as you're evolving, what is good business and what is something that you need to just step back from.
Yeah, sometimes there are certain categories where it can usurp 80% of your team's time, but it only brings in 20% or less of the revenue. And is it really worth it? Instead of you lean in on those areas that have maybe better margin or it's less stress for the team. And also our retail partners, our manufacturing partners, we try to select the best of the best, because if they are organized the way we are organized and they have a great eye for what people are looking for, it helps us make sure that the brand, the quality of what we're doing is great. We're speaking to the audience and what they're looking for. And even sometimes we're pulling people a little outside their comfort zone to move them into a designer look that they've always wanted for their home, but they didn't know how to choose it.
Also, trust your gut. If you ever come across somebody who thinks they can do all these miraculous things that seem unrealistic, I guarantee you it's unrealistic. The number of times we've had people either give us advice who have no place giving advice, or people who've tried to come in with a incredible miracle of an idea, it turned out it was not authentic. Trust your gut with these partners.
Yeah, that's such great advice. You have a big dedication to helping people and addressing housing issues and energy efficiency. Can you share about the Health Home Innovation Fund, how it got started, kind of what your main initiatives and goals are with the organization?
Everything Jonathan and I do focuses on family. What can help families live in a safe, happy, healthy, and most importantly, affordable home? And I really do love that our business has been able to thrive while really sticking to our mandate and what's important to us, and is making sure that a home is somewhere people feel safe and they can afford. And so you look at, we have our shows, we own the production company, so we're one of the largest unscripted producers in North America with lifestyle programming. We have our products. The Healthy Home Fund is the other level of what we wanted to bring to people. If we get in early with our fund, we're going to be investing early in these entrepreneurs who have tech that can help transform the home. Whether it's how to decarbonize the home to make it healthier, air quality within the home, how you transact to buy, sell, renovate, any aspect of home that can be improved for people, that's where we're going to invest and use our brand, which is a brand that's full of, there's trust, there's integrity. We're going to use that to help it scale up to bring the cost down.
It's a very exciting time in building technology right now. And so we have products, platform services that nobody's heard about. These are going to transform how we build homes, how we live in homes. And so that's what we want the fund to support. And who knows, through this fund, we could find the next Zillow, we could find the next Ring doorbell, all of these sorts of things.
I'm excited. I mean, when we're looking at the technology for decarbonizing your home, there's so many electric options in the home, water reduction, building materials for the built environment to bring costs down. There's a lot changing. It's not, when you think of how to improve your home, we're not just talking about solar panels. There are other ways to really make a home healthier for us and the planet. And it's something that it can be costly to start, but when you have a brand like ours that can really help scale up a business, that really does bring the cost down.
Absolutely. And you guys have grown so much that, like you said, you've built this trust and credibility, and it makes people more interested to partner with you on these other projects, which is really exciting. Let's talk about this new show that just launched. It has a lot of similarities to previous shows you've done, but it has this new interesting positioning to get people excited about where they already live. Tell us about this new show. What's it all about? Give me the rundown.
Donate Your House with the Property Brothers.
Did you say Donate Your House?
Donate Your
That's another new show we should do. Donate Your House.
Don't hate your house with the Property Brothers. It's exciting because you get what you love, the renovation, the before and after, but we're now showing you, almost like we're kind of pulling back the curtain and showing the raw side. I mean, we have homeowners who have meltdowns. We have homeowners who are so fed up with their house, they do not see how there's a solution that will work. These are the sort of dire situations we dove into. And we want to show people that your house, 99% of the time, it will work. We can find a solution, but it's not going to be easy to get there. And you've got to make some personal sacrifices sometimes to make it happen.
Well, especially in today's day and age where there's a housing crisis and also people are having a hard time affording to live where they want to live. People should be able to live where they work. That you shouldn't have to commute 2 hours to be able to afford a home. But you have to think outside the box and find solutions. And so what I'm really excited about is, like Jonathan said, instead of moving with all the expenses that you have with moving from realtor fees to taxes to everything else, you now can transform a home that you've given up on. It gives you a whole new level of love for that home when it's done.
Amazing. Okay, the show is all about reviews and feedback. So to close us out, I'll start broadly. How do you guys navigate feedback? I mean, with the TV shows and everything, I'm sure it's everywhere. You're hearing from people you don't even want to know feedback from, but how do you manage that? How do you process and kind of sift through it and see what's useful?
Yeah. Feedback has been important from the beginning for us. We actually dove into social media very, very early on because we felt that was a great way to have a direct contact with the consumer, with our audience. In fact, we even used to write articles. We even brought on some college kids to write articles as well, so we could be a local area expert when we had our real estate brokerage. And then people would find the articles, they would then find us and ask questions about buying in the area where we were. That has correlated now to all the social media platforms. We get about 500,000 messages a week each on social media from fans saying, hey, I love the show, or someone who tried a product. Some of the innovation of our product has actually come from suggestions from that feedback. So we have a team who combs through all that stuff to make sure we get the valuable stuff. It's so important to be connected. And we just happen to be in a situation where we get that real-time connection. Some other shows, some other companies, they'll sort of wait to the end of a year, then they'll kind of have a review, and then they'll implement stuff next year. We literally will implement it next day.
I love that. That's fantastic. And I think it's hard sometimes for small business owners when they're juggling so much to even think about social media. So I like to hear, obviously, you guys have people that handle
Yeah.
that. But for the ones that are just afraid to get on social media or afraid to promote themselves, what advice do you guys have? Because you kill social media. I mean, you're all over.
This is the thing. We're in a digital age, so you really do have to embrace social media or have your website up to date. Anybody who doesn't, you're going to be disappearing in the years to come. And I think it can be overwhelming if you don't have a big team or you don't have the budgets for that. But just trying to think simply, and I almost think it's like school when you had your allotments of time for different classrooms. Every business really needs to look at what they do in their day to day and carve out those sections. This is dedicated for social media, or this is dedicated for writing an article or editorial or something like that. Because if all you're doing is keeping up with the day-to-day grind, you're never going to be forward thinking. And that's what keeps a company here as opposed to somebody who can slow and steady thrive and grow to here.
And value your time. Even a small business, even someone who's running their own business, it will get to a point where it's more valuable for you to bring on, like I said, a college kid, or bring on somebody who's just going to write a couple of articles for you or do a little bit of social media work for you. But make sure you keep it consistent. But if your job has you in a role where you're out there doing sales, you're going to try and sell the next client, then you need to focus on that and not sitting down and distracting yourself by trying to do a TikTok story or something like that. So really figure out what's important for you. Where's your time best spent? And bring on resources to help you. Even if you don't have to have somebody full time and you're paying benefits. You can contract a lot of writers. And
well, I know real estate agents too who they'll share a social media person, just somebody just fresh out of school who really understands social media, and they'll share 3 or 4 agents will share one person to help them.
I don't think doing TikTok dances for a real estate agent is going to help you get the next sale.
You never know,
But if you have consistent good content, it's good to have somebody who can just manage the upload.
Yeah, be authentic and stick to what your brand is all about.
Amazing. Such great advice today. Thank you both so much for your time. It was really great talking to you. To close this out, where can people connect with you? How can our listeners get in touch and keep up with everything you're doing?
Yes, we love that direct connection to our audience. So whether you're hitting us up on social media or go to our website, drewandjonathan.com, that's where we have a ton of editorial, educational information, inspiring information surrounding home and design.
And if you hate your house, who knows, maybe you'll be on the next season.
And that concludes our episode. I hope you enjoyed it and were able to take a thing or two away to implement in your own life. Whether it's a new idea that you can bring back to your business or a fresh perspective on how to be a positive influence as a consumer, we share these stories to inspire and create more meaningful connections in your local community.
Behind the review, dig deeper too. Behind the review, get all the news. Food, flowers, fixing, make business boom. Behind the review, dig deeper too.
This episode featured a conversation with Drew and Jonathan Scott, the Property Brothers. To learn more about the story, head to yelp.com/behind the review and check out the guest details and episode takeaways. And don't forget to subscribe to Behind the Review on your favorite listening platform so you get an alert each Thursday that we drop a new episode. To claim your own Yelp business page and start engaging with consumers, visit business.yelp.com. Our theme song is performed by Ali Schwartz and produced by Robbie G of Messerol Sound.